Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Armourer's Bench. Today we're taking a look at a rare and intriguing Colt Paterson revolver from the excellent Cody Firearms Museum's collection. Before we examine the pistol, let's take a look at the historical background which led to the Paterson. In October 1835, Samuel Colt patented his first revolving pistol in Britain, with a US patent following in February 1836. With backing from his cousin and other investors, Colt established the Patent Arms Company, building a factory in Paterson, New Jersey in late 1836. The company produced a variety of revolvers in different sizes including pocket, belt and holster models. The 28 caliber pocket model No. 1 being the smallest and the 36 caliber No. 5 holster revolver being the largest. The company produced approximately 2,300 firearms, both revolvers and revolving rifles, before the company collapsed due to insufficient sales in 1841. The No. 5 saw the largest amount of sales, with small numbers being sold to the Texas Rangers, Texan Navy and private citizens. The US Army reportedly tested Colt's revolver in February and June of 1837, finding a number of weaknesses with the design. Despite the approval of President Andrew Jackson, the US military remained largely uninterested in the Paterson, apart from a few small orders. The Paterson revolvers had octagonal barrels and were sold in a number of barrel lengths. The barrel assembly attached to the receiver via the cylinder axis pin, which locked together by a wedge, a method that Colt would continue to use for the next 30 years. They had a small front sight and a notch cut into the hammer which acted as the rear sight. The pistols had a folding trigger which deployed when the weapon was cocked. Initially the Patersons lacked a loading lever beneath the barrel. Instead, the cylinder was removed to enable loading and capping. Later, in 1839, the Patent Arms Company began adding a loading lever to their revolvers. Despite the collapse of the Patent Arms Company in 1841, Colt had a reprieve in 1847, when he was contracted by the US government to produce 1,000 large 44 caliber revolvers for use by mounted troops during the Mexican-American War. These have since become known as the Colt Walker, because of the involvement of Captain Samuel Walker of the Texas Rangers and later the US Army's Regiment of Mounted Riflemen. Walker, as a Texas Ranger, had used Colt's revolver and greatly admired it for its increased firepower. The revolver we're examining today is intriguing as it's an original Colt Paterson which has subsequently been adapted with a new loading lever and sights. While the Patent Arms Company had introduced loading levers in 1839, they were of a pattern similar to that of the later Colt Walker. This pistol, serial number 954, has a loading lever more akin to that of the Colt Dragoon or later Colt 1851 Navy. It's likely that the revolver's owner upgraded the pistol at a later date. The Paterson was a significant investment when it first appeared on the market, costing between $40 and $50, which is well over $1,000 today. So it makes sense that owners would upgrade their revolvers if they could. The work certainly appears to have been carried out by a competent gunsmith. As with other Colt percussion revolvers with loading levers, the rammer acts on the cylinder positioned at 6 o'clock. To load, the revolver was brought to half cock. Powder was poured into the chamber, followed by a round ball projectile. This was seated enough to allow it to line up with the rammer, and then the lever could be pulled to ram the ball home. The cylinder could then be capped. The 1839 Patersons had a scalloped cutout to allow caps to be placed on the cylinder nipples without removing the cylinder. On close examination, the cap cut out at the rear of the cylinder and the cut into the barrel assembly which facilitated loading appears to differ from the Patersons which were fitted with loading levers at the factory. This revolver's rammer appears to be slightly bent, but nevertheless seems to work fine. Here we can see the loading lever's retention catch brazed onto the barrel. At some point, perhaps at the same time as the fitting of the lever, a new set of sights were also fitted, with a more prominent front sight and a rear notch sight added to the top of the barrel, just in front of the cylinder. The gunsmith appears to have cut the dovetail for the sight through the original decorative scrollwork which surrounded the maker's mark. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. This pistol dates from a fascinating period of American history, on the cusp of an era dominated by Colt's revolvers. While the exact circumstances of the revolver's upgrades are unclear, it tells us that Colt's revolvers, even early examples like this one, were highly prized. My thanks to the Cody Firearms Museum at the Buffalo Bill Centre of the West for allowing me to film the revolver. As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out our full accompanying blog for this video over on our website, armourersbench.com. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and thank you again for watching.